welcome to the Super Bass project, or should I say the Super Bass sound test video, or final, or first test run, whatever you want to call it. We're actually going to hear what this thing sounds like. And I have a pretty cool video set up here for you, something a little different. But if you're watching this, it's probably because you watched the whole series, and I gotta say thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And if you're just stumbling around YouTube and you come across this, check out my video series that I made showing how I made this thing. And because I don't want to go into it. I've gone into how I made this thing in every single video. This one is all about how it sounds. And finally, we're going to get to hear it. I want to say right off the top that I couldn't be happier with how this turned out. I don't know if I was, aiming, trying to dial in a certain specific sound, but I certainly was, shooting for a certain range. And let's just say I check all the boxes. So I was pretty happy when I plugged this in and heard the sounds that I heard. It was right what I wanted to hear. So for the Super Bass, I wanted to do something a little different rather than just playing a couple of pieces of music in different pickup settings. So what I thought was to put a piece of music together with just this bass. So a bass track, a rhythm track, a lead track, with a drum track as well. But the only instrument other than drums are this bass. Just to show the wide spectrum of sound, the range from very low tones up to the almost guitar-like tones. First, what I'd like to do is just play a little segment of each track, just so you could hear it by itself without the drums and the other parts, so that you can pick out how each sound really does come through really nicely. So the first one I want to show is the two single coils, like the Fender P bass sound, which is kind of my wheelhouse. That's where I really like my bass tone to be. I've got brass saddles, brass nut, all this steel in the back, so you can hear every little nuance of the string. And I think when you hear this track, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, I think you know what I'm talking about now. It's almost like metal pipes banging together. You can really get it's a very gritty, gutsy, bright bass sound, I guess you could say. With that said though, that's my wheelhouse. That's how I like my bass to sound. But I've always felt that my Fender P bass was never deep enough. I couldn't get those deep, dark tones or those deep, round bass tones. So that's why when I designed this guitar, I wanted to add the jazz pickup. And wow, for the first time when I put on a set of headphones and start playing this, I get that low, deep sound. So that's the next track in this song that I'm going to play, is that really deep, bassy sound. And you'll really hear that sustain come through. I hit a note and it just rings through. I play a lot less notes, and that's how it sounds really great, is they just seem to just go forever. So I think you heard what I was talking about as far as sustain and deepness. It's definitely there, and I'm really happy to finally hear those tones. And maybe I'll come up with some reggae stuff. Who knows? It's just I love that whole aspect now that I have that sound. The last track I want to play is, I guess you could call it the lead track. And we're going back to the single coil pickups, and I set the EQ a little bit so that bring out the higher end, just to broaden that spectrum a little bit. And I added a little bit of echo. But this track, I try to play more like a melody, and you can still hear that sustain, and you can also get every little nuance of the strings. You can hear I can hear my fingers moving on it. I love that sound. Some people, maybe it's noise, but to me, I love hearing. It makes the bass track more characteristic. It brings more character to it. So let's check this one out. I'm just going to play that track. This is the 3 parts all together with a drum track, and that's it. It sounds pretty full, so tell me what you think. All right, there we go. There's the 3 parts. I think that worked out well. I really enjoyed putting that song together. And that's actually an older song that I put together that I wrote about 5 or 6 years ago. And if you want to hear it, it's in one of my old videos, and I'll put the link in the description so that you can hear the difference between that one and this one, because that one has guitars on it, like, you know, distorted electric guitars and a solo and stuff. One thing I'd like to add as well, these pickups that I bought, these are not expensive pickups. These are kind of your cheapo $30, $40 range. I believe they're Dragonfires. I bought these about 4 or 5 years ago, so it's been a while, right at the beginning of the project. And I just remember that on the website where I got them, they described them as vintage sounding. So I thought, yeah, that's great. Okay, it's like, you know, that's what I want. So, but I am very happy with that. And just in case, you know, oh, it sounds great. Of course, you probably put really expensive pickups in. No, these are, you know, your budget pickups, I guess you'd say. But you can really hear how nice they do sound and how great this thing does sound. I'm happy. I'm proud papa, right? I may end up doing some other videos where I compare this bass with the Squier bass, you know, like same settings and same piece of music, just to hear the difference. But other than that, I don't know. I'm going to play it and have fun. But thank you for watching the video. Thank you for watching the series if you have. Thank you if you're going to go and watch the series. I think it's really fascinating. I'd like to go back and watch it myself just to see how ridiculous it did end up being. I want to say subscribe to my channel, Johnny B Guitars. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all Johnny B Guitars. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.